Hey, good morning to everyone on this rainy, what's supposed to be very stormy March the 1st, 2017. Um, I have a lot to be thankful for today. This is like a grand day to me. Actually, not a grand, well, kinda. I was gonna go live, but because the emotional side of this, I decided to video it. That way I could erase it if I turn into a rambling squall box. Um, February the 29th, 5 years ago, which was today, but it was leap year, I got up to make a trip to Knoxville to get the results of a biopsy I had done. I had a spot in my mouth that would not heal and that would not go away. It had been looked at a couple of times by my oral surgeon at University of Tennessee in Knoxville, and my dentist even looked at it. And pretty much because my dentist was going along when following with what the oral surgeon was saying, it wasn't diagnosed properly. I went to Knoxville by myself on this date 5 years ago. Honestly, I didn't even really tell anyone that I was having the biopsy done, because I had pretty much been led to believe up until this time that it was probably nothing. I was told it was a enlarged tonsil, just a spot that did not want to heal. I'll back up and say that when Emily was in second grade, I remember that because she had Denise Sherlin. I had a spot on the side of my tongue, right here, down there, removed probably 4 or 5 times, and it kept coming back. Each time it come back benign. The last time it come back, I was sent to UTK Knoxville, and that's where I stayed for, I guess it was 11, 12 years. And when he did the last biopsy 12 years before, 11, 12 years before, it did come back as having some squamous cell carcinoma in situ in that. He removed the place and then a small bit of the side of my tongue, and I was clear for 12 years. He said he really thought that I had beat this. And then on this morning, 5 years ago, I went up there and he walked into the room. And when I saw the look on his face, my heart sank. I knew what he was going to say. He said, I don't even know how to tell you this. He said, it is cancer. I am so sorry. I can't believe this. I thought we had beat this. And because it's been there these months, I don't even know what you're looking at. Probably a neck dissection. I'm not sure if you're looking at chemo, radiation. He said, I have no idea. He had a oncologist in Knoxville that he wanted to refer me to. At that point, looking back, he was a good doctor. He had a good reputation. I was sent there because of his good reputation. But at that moment, I had lost faith in him, and I was scared because I felt like he had failed me over the past few months by not doing a biopsy sooner. I will say I would go in there and he'd be like, no, it's okay. I'd be like, okay. I didn't pursue it either as hard as I should have because I took his word for that. I left there distraught. I left there scared, but I left there with the determination that this was not going to beat me. I was going to win. I had babies. I had my husband. And I had my mama. My mom and my daddy. That was the hardest conversation I had ever made in my whole entire life. It was 2012. I was diagnosed with cancer. I did not know what I was looking at or what my future held. And in 2005, my mother buried my sister to cancer. I called her on the way home, and I downplayed it. I did tell her it was cancer, but I downplayed it, told her it would be okay, it would be like the last time. I could not tell her I did not know. I came home and made an appointment with my cardiologist. I'm also a heart patient. I was born with a severe heart defect that was repaired when I was 9. So I have had a cardiologist my whole entire life. And I asked him who he would refer me to. And he told me, hands down, Peter Hunt. And I hope it's okay that I say his name, but he saved my life. I got in to see Dr. Hunt. And he looked at it. And he said, we got to get that out of there. He told me he would remove lymph nodes from my neck and the tumor itself and whatever else he had to remove when he got in there. I saw him sometime the middle of March, and he was so busy. My surgery was pushed out, and I didn't have surgery until, I'm pretty sure it was April the 11th. April 11th or 13th. I'm sorry, I don't even remember that off the top of my head right now. So I went on about my life the best I could at that point. I was overweight. I really started working out, exercising, riding my bike. I was riding my bike 8 miles a day, which isn't amazing, but it was good for me. Trying to build my heart up because I knew this surgery was going to be traumatic on my body. In that month, I lost about 10 pounds. And then I went in for the surgery. My husband was told that the surgery would be probably, I think they said 5 to 6 hours, somewhere in there. I was to be in the hospital a day or two and then get to come home. I woke up in ICU where I was not supposed to be with a feeding tube. With tubes coming out of my body everywhere. Feeling like I couldn't breathe. And my surgery turned into 11 to 12 hours, somewhere in there. It was more in depth than what they thought. This cancer had moved to 2 lymph nodes. I had nerve in my neck that was wrapped around the tumor. And the cancer was 2 millimeters from my jawbone. It was not in my jawbone, praise God. But it was 2 millimeters from my jawbone. So he worked tediously to clean that area out. I lost the back portion of my tongue on the left side. The back portion of my tongue on the left is sewn to the bottom of my mouth. So my tongue is not straight. It goes sideways, which is kind of weird. This side of my tongue is numb. When I got out of surgery, I couldn't speak. My tongue was so swollen that nothing would come out, and I would try, and Mark would try to understand me. I ended up having to write things down, and my first question was, did they get it all? Mark told me that he thought they did, but I wouldn't know for sure until the biopsy come back. Well, I found out when I was still in ICU that it did come back with clear margins. But, sorry, I lost my train of thought. But I would have to have some form of radiation because I was only 39 years old. They were worried because it was so close to the jawbone, and it was in 2 lymph nodes that, sorry, my allergies are bothering me, that if there was one stray cell, it could start all over again. So, I was in the hospital 7 days from that surgery. I came home a week later, and Mark got me set up in the recliner, gave me my meds, and made me a chocolate shake, and said he was going to run to Walgreens and pick up my prescriptions. While he was gone, I had this horrible odor, and I didn't know what it was. I wanted to throw up, but I couldn't throw up. I was scared to throw up because I was afraid it would hurt. And I put my hand up on my neck like this and moved my hand, and my chocolate shake was coming out on my hand. I had a hole in my neck. Somewhere where the surgery was so intense, something broke through, and I had a fistula, and whatever I was taking by mouth was coming out my neck. I called Mark, trying to get him to understand me. He could not understand me. I texted him, and he came home. We called the doctor. I went back to the doctor, and I was immediately put back in the hospital. I was put on a no food, no liquid, nothing by mouth diet. I could put ice chips in my mouth just to help with the moisture, but he didn't want anything coming out because I had to heal. He actually opened it up more to clean out infection it was gross. And then it had to be packed. They actually had cloth. I'm sorry, I just got emotional thinking about that. I forgot about that. I actually had to pack gauze in my neck and remove it ever so often after it absorbed the fluids and the infection. I know that's gross, sorry. They taught Mark how to change that. I ended up being there 7 days. Again, so my total in the hospital was 14 days. I ended up on day 4 of that second hospital stay having to get a feeding tube in my stomach, like right down here. I was so emotionally drained that I was to the point where I couldn't take anymore. They told me that I would be put to sleep, and when I got down to the lab to have the feeding tube and put in, the man told me, he said, this will be a live sedation. He said, we'll give you something to make you groggy, but we can't put you to sleep because we can't intubate you because your throat is so swollen and so much going on there. I literally started squalling. I was crying so hard that it was horrible. The tears were horrible, and people were trying to console me and trying to get me to stop and trying to get me to calm down. And I remember the anesthesiologist coming over there, and he said, I am going to put this small tube into your throat, and when I put it down, I need you to swallow. He said, it's going to gag you, but I need you to swallow. I couldn't do it. I cried, and I was to the part where I was begging God to please help me. And my emotions were so over the place, I couldn't control the crying. And another man walked in, and he said, right as they were about to put it in my mouth and make me try to swallow it, I say make, they weren't like forcing it down my throat or anything, but they were pretty much telling me it was my only choice. I remember a man walking in and saying, stop. We can't do this like this. She can't handle this. We'll give her something to make her rest. And then he came over to me and he said, this isn't going to knock you out, but you'll be able to be calm through this. Well, whatever it was, whether it was what he gave me or God, I was out of it. I remember nothing about that procedure. But I woke up in recovery. And as soon as I woke up, I started crying again. I cried all the way up to the room. I cried in the room, and I cried until I went to sleep. Um, I think back up to my first week of surgery, it made me think about going back to the room. They rolled me. I knew I had cancer. I knew I had surgery for cancer. I knew I was in recovery for cancer. But it hit me. Oh my gosh. I am a cancer patient. When they rolled me in the bed from ICU back into the oncology unit, and it said Oncology Cancer Center on the door, it took my breath away. It was like a bricks on my chest. That was a hard moment. Back up to the feeding tube. I got that put in. I didn't realize it would be so painful, but it hurt so bad that you literally have a hole in a tube out your stomach, and something inside your stomach for the food to go into. So it is a major procedure. I just didn't realize how major it was. I came home on day 14, and my church was so amazing. My sister, Rebecca, was so amazing. She had people bringing food to my family. I couldn't cook. I couldn't eat. And I'm not one to take help from other people. I'll let my family help me, but I'm not one to take help from others. I'll help anybody. I'll buy you anything you need if I can afford it. I'll come do anything you need done if I can do it. I'm not one to take help myself. But I had to learn to be humble. I had to swallow my pride. And Christina Henson, she brought food when I know she didn't want to have to bring food, but she did it days on end herself. Krista Barnes brought food. My neighbor Marquita Monk brought food. Larissa Jenkins brought food. And Larissa was fighting herself. And Larissa just lost her battle last week, and her funeral is tomorrow. And it's so humbling to know somebody else is sick, but they're reaching out to you when you're at your lowest point. Sorry, I didn't mean to go there. Anyway, I really had to suck it up and let people help me because I couldn't do it on my own. 5 weeks later, on May 31st, I started radiation and chemo. I was scared to death. Not at the time, I wasn't even really scared of the radiation. But that's what ended up hurting me more than the chemo. I was scared of the chemo. My little sister, I told y'all, she passed away from cancer. And she would have lost her battle to cancer if God did not intervene. But she lost her battle because the chemo shut her kidneys down. So I was scared to death of the chemo. On the first chemo day, when I went to the chemo lab, I was really nervous. I sat in the chair, they got me hooked up, and it wasn't that bad. I mean, it was like I was getting an IV because I didn't have a port. Mark had said, "Are you settled?" I told him yes, I was okay. The nurses were very on top of being there with me at the Memorial Cancer Center. And Mark asked me if it was okay if he went to the cafeteria to grab a bite to eat or a drink, whatever it was he wanted. He wasn't gone 5 minutes. And there was a code blue in the chemo lab. The little lady that was sat directly across from me died right in front of my face in the chemo lab when my greatest fear was death from chemo. I found out later that she did not die from chemo. Hers was heart-related, I think, something else. But at the time, it didn't matter what she died from. I was already a nervous wreck, and she died getting chemo or in the chemo lab. She wasn't even getting chemo. She was there for some form of platelets or something. But anyway, that added to my trauma. About day 8 into my situation, or my treatments, my mouth started getting blisters and was very sore from the radiation, and the chemo added to that. The chemo caused the burns in my mouth along with the radiation. My neck had started turning a little pink. The hardest thing was not being able to taste my food. And we had went to Tony's restaurant after church on day 7, I think, and things tasted weird. By that Tuesday, I couldn't drive at this point because the surgery was in my neck, and I was on pain medication. I was on some strong pain medication. So my kids were taking a time about taking me. Mark was taking off from work and taking me. And John Mark took me to McAllister's. And I remember sitting there crying because I think I had a sandwich. I don't even remember, but I couldn't taste any of it, and it was making me sick. I mean, I can't even describe what it feels like to put something in your mouth and not be able to taste it, and it just tasted like, I don't even know how to describe it, but a blob of nothing, nasty nothing. From that day forward, I ate nothing. It was only the feeding tube. There were a few days I would sip on green tea at night, warm green tea with lemon. You would think the lemon would burn, but it didn't. And then banana popsicles every now and then. A lot of people say to try chicken soup. It tasted as bad as that sandwich did. I could not do that. Every time I would go in for radiation, I had lost more weight. My blood counts continued to go down. I got to the point where they were saying, you cannot lose any more weight. Well, I was doing all I could not to do that, but at that point, there was nothing I could do. I couldn't eat. I was putting as much in my feeding tube as I could. And I'm going to be really honest. I put stuff in my feeding tube that I probably shouldn't have put in my feeding tube after my treatments were over. I put a high nutrient, vitamins. I put pureed, high potency vegetables, organic vegetables. I didn't do it during my chemo and radiation though, because sometimes that can go against your chemo. I remember telling my oncologist what I was doing, like I said, after chemo. And he said, don't tell me that. He said, I don't need to know that. He said, you do what you do. It's your tube at your home. Don't tell me about it. And we laughed. I remember going in there. It was probably 3/4 of the way through. And I was at my lowest point. I was so depressed. My friend Gina Richardson, who is my angel on this earth, I don't get to talk to her near as much as I would like, but I had no idea what it meant to have oral cancer and be our age. I think I found her on Facebook by Googling oral cancer. I don't even remember. But she wrote me, reached out to me. She came to the hospital and saw me. She had oral cancer very young, in her 30s, I think, when she was first diagnosed. She literally drugged me through this. And part of the time, I mean drug, because I didn't want to do it. I wanted to stop. I couldn't do it because it hurt so bad. And she would come and be my encourager. So even though I don't get to talk to her or see her as much as I would like, she lives in Chattanooga. She is literally the best amazing human I've ever met. Sorry, Gina, you make me cry if you watch this. But, my husband was amazing. He did everything for me. He cleaned up when I threw up. He helped me to the bathroom. He changed my bandages to my neck. He helped me with my feeding tube. My surgeon even told Mark that he missed his calling that he should have been in the medical field. There's nothing that I could say that Mark did wrong, because he was everything to me and for me. And looking back, I kind of regret it, but I kind of kept my mom out of the whole loop. I didn't have her out a whole lot. I couldn't even really talk to her very much because I couldn't talk. Everything was writing or texting. Because I wanted to protect her. I knew what she had to go through, watching my sister suffer, and she was my sister's caretaker. And I could not let her see how bad I was. Part of me wishes that she could have been there, but I had already been told that I'd done the hardest part and that I would probably make it and be okay. With chemo and radiation, I had a 90% cure rate. Sorry, I'm a snotty, bubbling mess. But anyway, I ended up finishing radiation. I think my last radiation treatment was July 17th. At that point, I had lost 57 pounds. I'll just be honest, I went from an 18 to a size 10. I just feel blessed. Even in the hardest, most trying days, on the days I couldn't do chemo because my blood was too low, or on the days I couldn't have radiation because I was too weak, I was still so blessed. I remember sitting in the chemo lab one time with a mama and her little boy, and her husband had left them because he couldn't handle it. And she was just there trying to get chemo to prolong her life, because unless there was a miracle, she was going to die. And here I had my lease on life. This was just to help me get to where I had to, what I had to do to get over it. And she was just trying to buy a few more days with her baby. I often wonder what happened to people that I met down there. Kevin Scoggins, I talked to him a whole lot down there, and he lost his battle a few months ago. And I say lost, no one that dies from cancer loses their battle if they know with the Lord. This is just a temporary time here. They've made their journey to heaven, and they actually won. That's how I try to look at it. That's what I tell myself. If I don't make it through this, I still win. My Uncle Junior lost his battle last month, and that was hard. Watching him suffer and going to his house and having conversations with him and hearing him say, "Terry, you beat this, I can beat it too." There is such thing as survivor's guilt, and I do deal with that sometimes. The greatest thing, I think, was gaining my ability to speak back. I could not pronounce much of anything. I was in speech therapy. They were giving me letters and teaching me how to sound them out so I could learn how to pronounce words again. Because even now, from here all the way back and over, this side of my tongue is numb. And like I said, part of my tongue is gone. So I had to relearn it all. My voice was totally gone from the radiation. I was worried about not being able to talk again, let alone sing again. And I'm no Carrie Underwood, but I still can sing, praise God. I just thank God for everything He's done for me. I'm 5 years from diagnosis today. And I'm, more than anybody know, 5 years does not mean cured. The books will say when you're 5 years, you're cured. I have a hard time with that word. I know that's not true because I made 12 years and then got it again. My friend Lindsay made it 6 years, I think, and then got it again. There's no cure. But the longer you go without it, the better your chances are of it not reoccurring. Every day is a blessing. Every day is a gift. I won't say that I'm glad I got cancer, but I've met so many people on this journey that I would have never met if I hadn't got it. So even though I got it, I'm glad for the blessings I got in it. I even got a whole new lease on my marriage. We had been married 2012. How long was that? I don't even know. 22 years, 23 years. We had a good marriage. We had 4 kids, but we had gotten to a place of complacency. We had our routine, we did our thing, and I think we got to a place where we quit appreciating each other. It's not that way anymore. We went to bed at night. Good night, love you. Now we don't go to sleep unless we pray together every night. I'm a new person. My husband's a new person. And we're a new couple. We're new parents. We're different people now. I'm just so thankful for everyone in my life. I'm thankful for everyone that stuck by me. And I'm just thankful for 5 years. Every year I'll be thankful for the next year. I know this is long. It's saying it's 31:19 now. But that's okay. That's nothing compared to how long it took me to get where I am. I still have issues today. I'll show y'all my scar. My hair is still wet, so it looks kind of stringy. Right in there is where the fistula hole developed, but the scar goes all the way up behind my ear. Up here you can't tell that much, but where they had to recut me, where I had the fistula, the leaking with the milkshake, it made the scar wider in through here. And you can tell it sinks in a little bit more. They had to remove tissue and lymph nodes. This stays really stiff from the radiation and I guess the surgery and scar tissue, and I have 6 staples in my neck. I had to have a swallow study done a couple of months ago, and my swallowing does have some limitations from muscle weakness. But that's okay too. I just chew more and drink lots of water. I don't even know what else to say. There is a little bit of what my journey is. Thank you for listening. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for putting up with my post. I went from being the mom that did it all, the mom at all the games, the mom doing all the running, babysitting kids, subbing at the school, to pretty much having no life. So y'all got to see everything I thought about and everything I did. And thank you for dealing with me. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for praying for me. Thank you for being there for my family and those that really physically reach out to my family. Tiffany Bauer, you're another one that come and help me with my kids. I shouldn't have even started name dropping because I know I'm going to leave people off. Thank you. And I love you all so, so much. And I gained 22 pounds that weight back, but I'm on another weight loss journey. Healthy this time, and I've lost 7 pounds in 2 weeks, so I'll get there. Thank you all. Love you. Have a blessed day. Bye.